Alright, this game is going to get underway. Lobby is starting. Good luck, have fun, everyone, in Game 3. We are 1-1. Anything goes.
Anything goes. This has essentially reduced itself to a best of 3. First player to take 2 games at this point is going to be our champion.
That is a fact. We are going to enter this game, and in the lower right-hand corner, we've got our blue Protoss winning Game 1, losing Game 2. It is eNtitY.
And our top left Protoss clearly happy about the outcome of the previous game. Our red Protoss, PalaDiN.
This is another 2-player map, so if they want to scout, it should be relatively easy as they know where each other are. It's going to be similar builds from each other, obviously, at this point, because there's really not that much you can do besides build a pylon unless you're going to work a rush, which is always a viable strategy.
I don't know about always, but it is a strategy. I also don't know about viable.
The difference we do have is eNtitY has decided to put his pylon a square off of PalaDiN's and decided to put it out front of his Nexus. Both chrono boosting workers out, going to rally the probe out to build a gateway. Same thing out of eNtitY.
Looks like eNtitY has opted to not do anything super risky this game.
No one has an advantage anymore.
That's right.
Gas going down for PalaDiN. It's going to be about his typical time. He usually puts down gas when his gateway is about half done.
eNtitY going for the double gas?
Double gas for eNtitY. Double gas before Cybernetics core, which is, he has done this several times before, but in a lot of different situations. Last game it was a proxy robotics facility. Previous games it's been proxy Stargates or in-base Stargates with the mothership core. No way to make a prediction this game what it's going to be, but we will soon find out. Gateway's finishing up for both players. Cybernetics core goes down for PalaDiN.
eNtitY's scout is entering PalaDiN's base, getting a good look at what's happening, sees the second gas going down, sees the 2 workers in the assimilator.
PalaDiN really likes his 2 workers in each assimilator.
eNtitY is doing the same thing. That seems like a common build with this group of guys.
One assimilator just isn't enough to get the tech you want along with the mothership core, so you need that extra probe. 2 gateways now going down for eNtitY. 1 gateway going down, 2 total. Same thing for PalaDiN. Chrono boosting out the Stalker.
Warp gate has started for PalaDiN. Cybernetics core is just now finishing for eNtitY, and he immediately starts that warp gate.
eNtitY does like to get that warp gate out very quickly. He will actually choose to chrono boost his Stalker instead of warp gate. Both players doing the same thing. No one opting to bring out a mothership core yet. eNtitY doesn't quite have the minerals, but he will here soon.
PalaDiN sniffing that Stalker decides to pull his probe out of there as opposed to losing it.
PalaDiN's probe moving back across the map to safety of his home. Gonna find eNtity's probe, and we're gonna have a mano v mano.
And eNtitY has decided to move away.
Have a little game of chicken going on here.
Just until the Stalker shows up. His big brother showed up to beat up the bully. And then 3 more brothers show up to beat up the big brother.
Oscar Nanel asks if we're going to be active and have the stream up besides the FFA later today. Not sure. Possibly we may play some games depending on how fried our brains are. Or we may try and organize some more fun things with some of the other tournament participants. Yet to be seen, but we're definitely going to be having that FFA. That should be something interesting to see. We hope you stick around for that.
We do have a star part going down from eNtitY. It's about to finish, about 10 more seconds on that. Warp gate is about to finish as well.
I'm going to take a wild guess, even though usually when I do I'm wrong. I'm going to guess Phoenix out of that. Like it is going to be Oracle. PalaDiN moving around to make sure there's no proxy pylons in the back of the potential third base. eNtity's Stalker's moving up to the tower to see what's going on there. He had a probe on the other tower, which is now moving back. He is going to put up a pylon, which PalaDiN's probe walks nearby but does not go up to check. It's an interesting spot for a pylon. It's not really close to anything. It's kind of a mid-reinforcement pylon, I suppose.
PalaDiN's robotics facility is about to finish. It'll be interesting to see what he decides to make out of that, and it's going to be an observer.
PalaDiN does walk up and walk past that pylon again, but he does not see it. eNtitY pokes up to see what he can do with those stalkers, sees a sentry, knows if he goes up too far he's going to get force fielded and stuck. Oracle is coming in the back. PalaDiN is all the wiser. Look at those stalkers in his mineral line.
Ready for anything. And this Oracle's going to have to go in, spot it, and get immediately out, or it's going to get hosed.
He is quite the smart Oracle, taking only a little bit of shield damage. eNtitY is moving around the front, though. He's going to stop this probe from putting down an expansion. Sentry comes down to decide if it wants to commit suicide or not. It opts not to. Observer coming in for PalaDiN. Nice force fields to trap all the stalkers of eNtitY. Those are all going to die. This one in
PalaDiN
the back
stalkers are all at the bottom of the ramp, so he moves his eNtitY moves his Oracle in. The photon overcharge on the Nexus is going to take that down, however.
Great reactions by PalaDiN. Putting down those force field in exactly the right spots to snuggle up with those stalkers and also send in that Oracle that was unsuccessful the first time, but PalaDiN was quick right there with the photon overcharge as well. Putting down the proxy pylon of his own to make this push count. eNtitY does not have a whole lot going on his base. Militia Corps, 2 Zealots, 1 Sentry.
We do have a Void Ray about to come out, which will be helpful, but it won't be enough to hold off this massive number of stalkers.
eNtity's going to have to cancel this base.
We do have a Warp Prism coming down to assist with this push.
Oh, but eNtitY decides to pull back. He could have come down and potentially forced this base not to be canceled, but it is going to have to be canceled, and that time warp is going to slow those stalkers to a crawl. There is a sentry there, so if he comes up that ramp, he could easily get split, and that would help eNtitY in a big way to take out this pretty large army. So let's see how PalaDiN decides to tackle this, because this sentry situation is definitely one that could turn the game upside down.
PalaDiN trying to bait a force field there.
Doing a nice job of hanging out at the bottom of the ramp, being really careful not to get trapped, putting down force fields of his own to try and zone out that sentry so it's not able to put down its
And
own.
that Warp Prism has arrived and is warping in the back of eNtity's base, but he's there. He force fields the ramp to be able to deal with that, takes care of it, but now PalaDiN is in the base. That Void Ray does get picked off.
It was a nice play, though. It allowed the force field at the ramp to fizzle out in time for PalaDiN to be able to waltz up into the base. Another Void Ray comes out, uses its prismatic alignment to do more damage, but eNtity's going to be able to hold this off, and he's going to put a force field at the ramp to trap PalaDiN in, and PalaDiN is going to go down in flames.
Nothing is getting out of there, except maybe that observer.
A couple of Zealots hanging out in the middle for PalaDiN. See where these guys both go from there. They both try to put on some good aggression, but we'll see what comes out of it. Looks like eNtity's been able to kill 6 workers. PalaDiN hasn't really gotten a ton of economic damage done besides forcing the cancel on that Nexus.
And eNtitY decides to try and retake that natural. That was a really impressive hold.
It was.
It wasn't looking good for him.
It's a lot about positioning, and they were both well aware of what each other had. And those force fields were just pretty incredible on both sides, both from PalaDiN trapping all the stalkers, and he got one in kind on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like both players are going to stick pretty close to each other in food. eNtity's about 10 up. The pylon of PalaDiN is going to go down, but he's not going to be supply blocked because he likely planned on that and built some more.
Mm-hmm. Another Void Ray coming out for eNtitY.
Twilight Council going down for eNtitY. Definitely enjoys that Twilight Council. I would predict that we would see some DTs. Looks like eNtitY also is at maximum capacity in mining on his main with 25 of 24 workers. He's now grabbing some to move them away. Excellent intuition of myself to see that coming. Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent humility.
I love looking at exactly the right spot when you think something's going to happen. Another pylon over here by eNtitY just in case. Observer hanging out in the middle by PalaDiN to see if anything is going to be coming up. Looks like both people are just going to be holding back, kind of macroing up a little bit and moving into new phases of tech, with PalaDiN putting down his own Stargate.
2 of them, in fact.
2 of them. The question is, he saw the void rays of eNtitY. He has the observer here, so he can see exactly what eNtitY has. He has exactly 1 void ray. If eNtitY is continuing to produce void rays, but is PalaDiN going to attempt to get ahead in the void ray production with 2 Stargates, or is he going to maybe go Phoenix to try and take those out and do a little bit of harassment? Both could be good options.
Charge getting researched by eNtitY. And a Forge going down.
Forge going down. One of them has decided to get an upgrade. Been a lot. The big theme of the PvPs this weekend has been both have neglected, not necessarily just these people, but both players on the PvP front have decided to go against getting upgrades.
Opting for greater unit counts instead.
PalaDiN is opting to try and get ahead of eNtitY in void rays. It looks like eNtitY is currently having 2, and PalaDiN himself is about to have 2.
And those are being chrono boosted out.
Expecting one of these players to attempt to take a 3rd base here at some point, as there's really not much action going on. Both are just staying home, keeping an eye on each other. PalaDiN did still have an observer around here somewhere. Possible they got taken out, as eNtitY has his own observer. Just kind of settling into a nice long game. The thing that has really come out in PvP is the void rays have largely replaced the Colossus. In PvP, it always tended to be primarily robo battles and Colossus battles in mid to late game. But now, as a lot of the pros have been talking about, it makes the matchup a little bit more interesting because void rays have stepped in as another option to go for instead of the Colossus.
And PalaDiN is gaining the lead in the void ray count. He's also getting his air +1 upgrade.
PalaDiN currently down a bit in the food count, but that's never stopped him before. eNtity's observer sees everything. He knows that he has 4 void rays sitting there as eNtitY moves up to make a push. He does have a lot of zealots, which are going to do a lot of damage against these stalkers as they tank damage.
And those void rays all use their prismatic alignment.
Looks like eNtity's on the losing end of the stick on the void ray battle. At only 1 left. That last one's going to go down, leaving PalaDiN with 2.
Great force fields keeping those zealots at bay while the stalkers get some shots in.
eNtitY sends in another void ray to hit on PalaDiN's as he's
the
attacking.
zealot count is just out of control. He's just walking all over this with sheer number of zealots.
Charge is quite the useful upgrade, as it really helps. Those stalkers can just micro those zealots till Kingdom Come, but with Charge they just zoom right in there, as you can see.
PalaDiN brings forward a prismatic aligned void ray and has made an immortal.
Zealots are the new Roach.
It would seem so.
Void rays trying their best to take out those, I almost said roaches, to take out those zealots, but it's gonna be too much for PalaDiN to handle. Expect the GG here soon. 2 void rays of PalaDiN do still exist, but those zealots are just tearing everything up of his. Continues to send in more and more of them.
Protoss air weapons about to finish, and there's the GG.
There's the GG. Put eNtitY up 2-1. The nice variation in strategies there, seeing some, oh my gosh, are you, yeah, fantastic, thank you very much. Our wonderful hosts have brought us some pizza. So there's a nice switch up in strategies there. It was a little more interesting game. Didn't see any DTs. Again, I called that we were going to see some DTs in that game, and I was wrong.
Well, we've not seen the exact same strategy in any of the games that out of these 2 players in this series. They've always tried to do something else, been trying to opt for doing something that could throw their opponent off guard a little bit,